Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters. And welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor and Stress to Logic, your host. And on the break, I did a little bit more researching on that Senate Bill 8, SB 8, which calls for criminal penalties if you don't lock up your firearms. And I found out that it's still alive, but it is dying. What that means is it'll probably die, and then, I don't know, in 6 months, someone else will resurrect it as a different bill, which is how they did the assault weapons ban. So there have been some interesting things happening in the world of safety, and I want to go over them with you. And then I will talk about, if we have time, some new products that are on the market. Last Monday, in the Glen, and the Glen is the old Glenview Naval Air Station that's really high-end. There's a Von Mauer there, very expensive homes in Glenview. So on Monday, a North Suburban couple said armed robbers confronted them as they arrived home from a late dinner on Monday night. Doorbell video shows the moment when the suspects pointed guns in the faces of Gregory Poulos and his wife Angie Beltsus. And if you look on Facebook or any other social media, you can actually look up the video. I saw it. Quote, "It was surreal, to be honest. We don't know what to think. You sort of freeze," end quote, Poulos said. Two of the couple's children were in the home at the time, and they were unaware of what was unfolding outside the door. Thank God they didn't open the door in the midst of that, because you don't know if that would have startled them to react differently, Beltso said. It happened in front of the couple's home of 20 years, just after 10 p.m. Monday, on Blue Stem Lane in the Glen subdivision of Glenview. You're in the right place and you're supposed to be safe. Right in your front lawn, in front of your door, and instead you have a gun pointed at you 3 times. And your life can be taken, Beltso said. That's when police said 3 suspects, armed with guns, hopped out of a Jaguar SUV demanding the couple's belongings. In the video, you can hear Poulos immediately complying. You got it, sure, take everything, Poulos said. And that's what I kept saying. And we just kept taking things off and throwing it at them, handing them, throwing it at them, whatever, Poulos continued. My father's always said, personal items are irrelevant. Just give them what they want, and that's what I keep saying. And that's what we just kept taking things off and throwing at them, handing at them. And that was Poulos' words. The robbers got away with some clothing and jewelry, including Poulos' wedding band. We were then told, lie down on your stomachs, guns pointed at us. Like, I thought, oh my gosh, is this how it's going to end, Beltso said. The husband and wife spoke with ABC7 in their driveway where the ambush happened. Anywhere in this city, anywhere in this country, we should be safe in our homes, Beltso said. Poulos, a Navy veteran, credited his time in the military for his ability to remain calm and is hoping this incident serves as a lesson for his family and others to stay vigilant. Whether you are churning inside or not, you have to remain calm on the outside, and you have to be very deliberate in what you do, Poulos said. And I credit the Navy really for helping me with that, and we're here today. Police said they later found the getaway SUV abandoned in Bronzeville, which is a Chicago neighborhood. The couple is thankful that their lives were spared. What we really want is a deterrent for others to say this is not worth doing, Poulos said. So far, no one's in custody. I wonder if there's a deterrent like a concealed carry class. Maybe I should send them a letter in the mail. Not sure. All right, something else happened in the world of safety, and that is Highland Park shooter Robert Crimo III, not the third, the turd, was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Crimo did not appear in court for his sentencing in the 2022 parade massacre. Robert Crimo III, the gunman who killed several people and injured dozens in a mass shooting in Highland Park on July 4th, 2022, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole on Thursday. Crimo was sentenced to 7 consecutive life sentences along with 50 years in prison for each person injured, Judge Victoria A. Rossetti announced on Thursday. This court hopes this sentence will bring a sense of justice and an end to the continued horror, Rossetti said. The sentencing hearing, which began Wednesday and finished Thursday morning, included testimony from multiple survivors and relatives of those killed in the shooting at the Independence Day parade. Crimo, who's now 24, decided not to appear in court on Wednesday or Thursday. The shooter's parents, who have attended most court proceedings, also were not present. In regard to his absence, Lake County State's Attorney Eric Reinhardt said, "It's clear that he was unable to confront what he had done." Who knows if that's accurate or not. We try often to explain our feelings in terms of other people's behaviors. Maybe the guy's has a psychiatric issue and didn't understand it. So Reinhardt continued, and he said 7 people lost their lives, but this community kept going. There has always been strength in this community from this group of victims and survivors, and that stands in such contrast to what the offender did. Liz Turnipspeed, a survivor of the shooting, said the sentencing, quote, closes a chapter, end quote, on that part of her family's lives. "I don't have to think about him anymore. I don't have to worry about him anymore," Turnipspeed said during the press conference. Survivors and family members who had expected to address Crimo directly at the sentencing hearing shared the impact of Crimo's attack had on their lives. Leah Sundime, daughter of victim Jacqueline Sundime, said Crimo, quote, threw the balance of this world off, end quote, by killing her mother. Quote, "I hope you wake in the middle of the night gasping for air you don't deserve," Sundime said in court on Wednesday. She also read a statement on behalf of her father, Bruce, who said their family's lives have been destroyed by Crimo's, quote, violent tantrum, end quote. Marcia Moran, whose husband was shot by Crimo, said that she had been in therapy for over 2 years due to the emotional trauma. Her family has since moved out of Highland Park and is now living in Tennessee. Quote, "The shooter doesn't get to take anything more from me," Moran said in a court via Zoom. In March, he pleaded guilty to 21 counts of first-degree murder, 3 counts for each person killed, that's interesting, and dozens of attempted murder charges. I thought you could only kill someone once, so I'm not sure about the 21 counts, but apparently it worked in court. I don't know. I don't have an understanding of that. Crimo appeared ready to accept a guilty plea last June during a hearing, only to reject the deal in front of devastated members of the victims' families. He was expected to plead guilty to 7 counts of murder and 48 counts of aggravated battery with a firearm at the hearing at the time, according to the Associated Press. Quote, "We have a 4th of July coming up, and it'll be 2 years," Sundime said at a news conference at the time. All I wanted was to be able to fully grieve my mom without the looming trial, knowing that he was going to spend the rest of his life in jail. And instead, we were yet shown his complete and blatant disregard for humans. Crimo told police that he wore women's clothing during the shooting and used makeup to hide his facial tattoos and blend in with the crowd during the chaos, prosecutors said. Crimo was apprehended hours later, and prosecutors said he confessed to the shooting. Crimo's father, Robert Crimo Jr., pleaded guilty last year to reckless conduct, admitting to signing the FOID card application for his son to apply for gun ownership 2 years before the shooting. As part of the plea deal, Crimo Jr. was sentenced to 60 days in jail and 2 years of probation. The younger Crimo was 19 at the time he got his FOID card and too young to get one on his own. Illinois at the time required people ages 18, 19, or 20 to have a parent or guardian authorization. And if this case proves anything, it's that the parents are now going to be held responsible if their under 21-year-old children commit a crime. That's evident here. It was evident in a case outside of Detroit in Michigan. We're going to segue here. We're going to segue to immigration. Now, I don't know what the right things to do on immigration are. Maybe if someone's been in the country for so many years and they're contributing to society and they're working and they're not mooching and they're actually made a life for themselves, maybe they should stay. But for the people who are in luxury hotels in New York and not even volunteering to help in society, maybe they ought to be deported. And I want to talk about Garcia. Garcia is the guy who was, quote, wrongfully abducted. That's what the legacy media says. Notice they don't say mainstream media anymore. They say legacy media. That's a very interesting change. So I want to talk about due process and his particular case. So due process is a legal right, and it's not a privilege based on public opinion. In this case, it was not properly provided, which is a violation of the law, regardless about how anyone feels regarding the individual involved. But let's talk about the facts. Garcia entered the U.S. illegally and has made inconsistent statements about ties to MS-13. Now, when someone makes inconsistent statements, that indicates that they are not telling the truth. Is the truth he was with the MS-13 or not? I don't know. But he claimed fear of retaliation from a rival gang, the Barrio 18, if he returned to El Salvador. While that claim was enough to secure withholding of removal, it's not a path to permanent residence or citizenship. It simply prevents deportation to his home country, but not to others that are willing to accept him. In this instance, no third country agreed to take him in, meaning his deportation should not have occurred. Despite the questionable circumstances surrounding the case, including a restraining order filed by his wife alleging violence, Garcia reached a legal agreement with the U.S. government, and that agreement should have been upheld. The Trump administration is now obligated to correct the breach in due process. Whether El Salvador cooperates is a different matter entirely, as they are under no obligation to return him to the United States. It would not be surprising if the Trump administration is proceeding cautiously, as similar tactics have been employed by the past administrations of both parties, including Bush, Obama, Biden, and Reagan. It is likely that the administration is documenting El Salvador's lack of cooperation to deflect responsibility. What's troubling is that the media frenzy surrounding the case, while Americans unlawfully held overseas receive little to no attention. And while this might be playing well politically, it's not a constitutional crisis. Garcia is not a sympathetic figure because he is an illegal alien, but using his story to score political points while ignoring U.S. citizens in real jeopardy abroad speaks volumes about today's media priorities, and both parties share the blame. So let's talk about some other facts. Jennifer Vasquez Sura, the wife of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, a Maryland man wrongly deported to El Salvador, filed a protective order against her husband, alleging that he committed domestic violence. According to Snopes, this is true. Garcia was also pulled over by a Tennessee state trooper in 2022 for speeding, but when the cops stumbled upon the Salvadorian illegal migrant with 8 others and no luggage amid their days-long trip from Texas to Maryland, he suspected something was amiss, according to an internal memo obtained last week. At the time, the alleged gangbanger, who was deported by the Trump administration last month, claimed that the packed SUV was owned by, quote, his boss, end quote, at a construction job, who turned out to be Jose Ramon Hernandez. Reyes, an illegal migrant previously convicted of smuggling others into the U.S., Just the News reported first. On October 10th, 2019, there was a written decision granting withholding of removal. Per the Prince George's County Police Gang Unit, Garcia was validated as a member of the MS-13 gang. According to a Department of Homeland Security investigative referral document, the information provided was obtained through a collaborative law enforcement partnership and is believed to be part of an investigative enforcement value and is referred to your office for further analysis or action as deemed necessary and appropriate by local leadership. Recipients of this information are requested to use Program 70C for subsequent seizures, arrests, etc. And basically, on December 1st, 2022, the Combined Intelligence Unit, or CIU, received information that Kilmore Armando Abrego Garcia was queried in NCIC by the Tennessee Highway Patrol, and it's redacted, but it's the officer's name. DHS sources indicate that he was identified through official law enforcement investigations as a member of MS-13. Now, there's a lot more you can look at with this if you wanted to basically reach out to me at marcusmelnick.com. That is MarcusMelnick.com, and I'm happy to share some of the information that I have with you so you can research it yourself. Let's talk about some other facts. When he was arrested, he was found with rolls of cash and drugs. He was arrested with 2 other members of MS-13, and he is an illegal alien from El Salvador. He claimed fear of being returned to El Salvador because he would be prosecuted by MS-13's rival gang, Barrio 18. When arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering the ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is known as an MS-13 gang symbol of see no evil, hear no evil, and say no evil. 2 judges found that he was a member of MS-13. The finding has not been disturbed. Quote, although the court is reluctant to give evidentiary weight to the respondent's clothing as an indication of gang affiliation, the fact that a past, proven, and reliable source of information verified the respondent's gang membership, rank, and gang name is sufficient to support that the respondent is a gang member and that the respondent has failed to present evidence to rebut that assertion, Immigration Judge Elizabeth Kessler wrote in 2019. Her decision was upheld by another judge in an appeals hearing. Intelligence reports found that he was involved in human trafficking, and Jennifer Vasquez, Garcia's wife, petitioned for an order of protection against him. She claims he punched her, scratched her, ripped off her shirt, and bruised her. If that is not a criminal, I don't know what is. So if this is actually true, and I got this from the internet news source, actually a friend emailed it to me, it's telling. And now we've got people from the Democratic Party visiting him in jail in El Salvador, trying to get him. I mean, guys, look at the facts of the case, if these are, in fact, the facts of the case. We're going to take a brief break.
I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show.
We are back from break, and I want to talk to you about 2 different new products that are out there. One of them is by Keltec Weapons. Keltec is a Florida-based company. They do polymer-based guns, and some people love them and some people don't. But they came up with a new gun called the PR, P as in Paul, R as in Robert, 57. And this is a polymer-based gun. It's a compact concealed carry pistol chambered in 5.7 by 28 millimeter. It features a rotating barrel and a top-loading design. It's ultra lightweight and maintains an impressive 20-round capacity. Some features are it does not have a magazine. The top-loading design makes the frame profile slim and compact. 20 rounds fit into the grip of the gun, which can be manually inserted one at a time, or by using two of the provided 10-round stripper clips for a quick reload. The innovative rotary barrel design sets it apart not only in appearance, but by dramatically reducing its overall weight. This pistol is nearly 40% lighter than the next lightest 5.7 millimeter pistol on the market. The design is very practical. Fine motor skills are greatly diminished in high-stress situation, and this firearm focuses on a minimalistic approach that reduces room for error. Some specifications are it's 13.8 ounces unloaded, magazine capacity is 20 plus 1, the overall length is 7 inches, barrel length is 4 inches, the width at its widest point is 0.9 inches, it's 5 inches high, the twist is 1 in 7, and the trigger pull is 4.5 pounds. There is another new firearm on the market. It is called the Mark IV DL-44. Now, what the heck does that mean? Well, if you were born in the 70s and love Star Wars like I do, the DL-44 is the name of Han Solo's blaster. And CMMG, which is a firearm manufacturer, did a special run for May the 4th, and they had fun with. It looks just like Han Solo's blaster, but without the scope on it, and it shoots .22 long rifle. It's made as a dealer-only exclusive, and there's no information on the website, but if you reach out to me via my electronic business card at marcusmelnick.com, I'm happy to share the spec sheet with you and tell you where you can get it also. The only information is this spec sheet, and interested dealers get it with minimal information, and they're looking at more coming available directly from them on May 4th, but there's not marketing material behind it because it's limited quantity. So they did send me this spec sheet, the DL-44 Blaster, and unfortunately both the PR57 and the DL-44 Blaster are not legal in Illinois because the Keltec holds more than 15 rounds, and I checked, even though it's a clip-fed gun, 15 rounds for a pistol is the actual limit. The reason why the DL-44 is not legal is it's got a magazine external to the grip, which kind of stinks. But let me tell you what their spec sheet says. Their spec sheet says, introducing CMMG's new Solo Blaster-based .22 long rifle pistol. Derived from the popular line of .22 firearms, the pistol mimics the original Solo Blaster, but with all the form and function you've come to know from a CMMG pistol. Design elements include a handcrafted grip, custom muzzle device, and battle-worn Cerakote, which makes every pistol unique to the original. It is producing a limited quality available for May the 4th. Now, let's talk about some of their other features on this. Well, it's just a cool looking gun. It looks very similar to Han Solo's gun. So, again, it's .22 long rifle. Their product number is 22A440F. And unfortunately, the MSRP is over $1,000. It's a 4.5-inch barrel length, 1 in 16 twist rate. The lower receiver is MK4 forged. Upper receiver is billet aluminum. It's a TB operating system. It does have a flash suppressor and thread. There's not a gas block on it. So this is just a cool looking gun. I wish I could get my hands on one. I know it's not practical, but Han Solo's gun was based on the broom handle Mauser. I've wanted one of those for a long time. One of the gun stores I worked with or at actually had one, and I got to play with it a little bit, but it was $5,000. I'm not about to spend $5,000 on a firearm. So these are just some new products that are on the market today. I thought that everyone here would appreciate them. We do have openings in our May 17th and 18th class. There's 2 or 3 openings left, and we are booking concealed carry classes into June. And remember, if you take a concealed carry class with Firearm Mentor, there is a free gun cleaning lesson waiting for you. That's right. A couple of the things that I do that are added value is I will teach you how to disassemble your firearm specifically, reassemble it, and in between clean it and oil it. I also, if you're in the market for a concealed carry pistol, I will go shopping with you. I love spending other people's money. Okay, that was a joke. But in reality, I don't want customers or clients to be pushed into something where perhaps the salesman likes it more, or perhaps the salesman gets a bigger commission or bonus. When I worked at the gun store, sometimes the day would start with, anyone who sells 2 Glocks gets $50. Well, then you try to push the Glocks because you're trying to make money. It's not a high-paying career. So I cut the baloney. I advocate. I tell the client what to get, what not to get, because sometimes the recommendations are really ridiculous. And I'll give you a ridiculous one. She had to be in her 70s, and she took the concealed carry class. Wonderful, wonderful woman. She didn't have the hand strength, so she needed a lightweight racking pistol. Well, I typically will recommend the Smith & Wesson Equalizer or Shield EZ, and she was very, very petite. So they gave her a 5-inch barrel SIG 320 to, quote, show her how easy it was to rack the slide. I'm like, just put that away. You're never going to use it. So I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay tuned. Next week, we'll have another one. Stay safe and have a great week.
We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.